Hi guys, Rich from Trackspark here. Hope everybody's well, and welcome to another tutorial, quick tutorial. This month I'm going to talk about giving your tunes more bounce, and obviously the way to do that is in the rhythm of the tune. There's a couple of obvious ones, but I'm going to show you what I've done with this tune in front of me. Because I really love the way that this one works rhythmically. The tune itself is a little bit sort of poppy, but don't be put off by that. It's you can apply this sort of rhythmic thing that I'm going to talk about to any of your tunes, really. Yeah, so please don't be put off by the fact that maybe this tune's not exactly your bag. But anyway, let's get on with it. I'm just going to play you. Go away. Sorry about that. I'm just going to play you a couple of sections here first, and then sort of talk you through it. So it'd be the main section, and then there's a bit of a section change where there's a lift. I just want you to sort of I don't know, notice that first, and then we'll get on with it. So here we go. So there you go. Like I said, it's a little bit sort of a little bit poppy and feel good, but hopefully you noticed some of the rhythmic elements in there. You notice that this section, obviously, well, it's got a really strong, solid sort of 4 on the floor down beat with snare on 2 and 4. So it's got a really solid sort of driving, dancey type beat. It's not that fast. It's 113 BPM, and then when we got to this section here, there was more of a lift, even though musically there wasn't anything sort of changing harmonically, I guess is the better word. But it was more about the rhythm, the subtle changes in the rhythm that gave it a lift. But if I go back to this section here, we can hear what's going on in the rhythm a little bit better before we get to these. So before this, actually, quickly, one obvious way of putting more bounce into your beats or your tunes is swing. So if you went to your quantize panel and just put up the swing, and then it will make your 16th notes slightly more swung, and that's one really good way of just adding a bit more bounce into your rhythm. I haven't got any in this one, so we're not going to be using that. Another way is the sort of classic, which applies in this tune a little bit, is the classic sort of offbeat hi-hat sort of disco thing. So that that sort of vibe that gives a really nice sort of syncopated rhythm. That's another quite obviously obvious and massively used way of giving your tunes more sort of bounce and lift. We're going to use a combination of that and something else, and I really love what I call this, like a 16th push. So it's the 16th just before one of the downbeats, so it could be beat number 1, because that's a really sort of strong beat, or beat number 2 or beat number 4, which are your strong sort of your strong backbeats, so where your snare would normally go. So this, if you put a little rhythmic element, a 16th just before one of those, followed by your classic offbeat here, look, that's halfway through the beat, so your classic offbeat, that gives us this really, really cool sort of rhythmic element that gives a wicked bounce to your tune, I think, anyway. And that's what I'm going to be sort of showing you in this one. So let's just have a quick listen to this section, and then I'll talk you through it. can hear it just before, on the 16th, just before the first beat of the bar. So just here, and then again, just here. So it's happening every 2 bars, but it's happening just before the first beat of a bar, and it's making that beat number 1 just hit, that downbeat, hit a little harder. But again, it's just giving us a nice little push before it and giving us a wicked rhythm. So, and it's happening, the syncopation, or this rhythmic element I'm talking about, is happening between the bass and the drums, the strong beats of the drums. So ba 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 ba. So it's those two. Get at gat. So let's listen. And I think it really works well on a real bass guitar, like a pop. If you were going to do a pop on that 16th, just before ba ba ga ga ga. There. So let's have one more listen. Hopefully you heard that. So that's what I'm talking about, and it gives a really cool sort of bounce. Now, moving back to the sections that I showed you earlier, this first section here, let's just listen to this. We've still got the same bass riff or element, so we've still got this ba ba ga ga every two bars. So that's still going on, which is helping the downbeat of beat 1 hit a little harder as well. And but we've got this sort of 16th put. Let's just have a listen first. Sorry, before I waffle on anymore. Here we go. So that sort of 16th push that I'm talking about, followed by the offbeat lift, is now coming in just before beat 4. So we've still got, like I said, we've still got the bass giving it for beat 1 every other bar, but now every other beat we've got it happening for the snare, which is giving us even more bounce to the rhythm. So we can just see that hi-hat there where my mouse is, just there, just there, just there, and it's been doubled. So we've added this rhythmic element in this sort of bass, not this bass, in this synth, sorry, in this synth here. We can see just here beats just before beat 4 there, that's 16th, followed by the offbeat there, 16th, followed by the offbeat. So let's listen to that. Just there. So just giving us that really cool bounce. There. And then when we get to this section, the final sort of section, we get an even bigger lift from there, and we're creating even more bounce and rhythm and syncopation in our beats and in between our beats and instruments. So they're all sort of reacting off each other to create this bouncy rhythm. It's not just done in the drums. So I'll give you a bar just before it, and then hopefully you can hear the change in the lift. So the hi-hats are now changed to almost that classic disco offbeat open hi-hat, but it's every other beat. So just listen again. So the hi-hats are just doing that every other beat, and then we're getting the 16th push that I'm talking about. It's now moved to a different instrument, which is here. It's a bit of a Euro synthy type thing. So again, 16th push followed by that offbeat sort of lift straight after, and it's being doubled with a slightly lower sort of more bassy synth. So there, so those are the elements now giving us that more bounce, and they're happening more frequently. They're happening before beat 2 and before beat 4. So we've got that, we've got even more bounce. We've got that sort of push happening twice a bar now, and we've got the really strong. We've still got the bass, the original bass line doing what it was every 2 bars. So let's just check that out quickly again. So there you go. Everything's sort of syncopated, syncopating with each other, and working, like I said originally, working around those really strong kick and snare downbeats. And it's giving those space as well, so it's almost like a bit of a sort of a side chain effect. How we you know, give the kick and the snare more space by putting side chain on our bass and things like that. Because everything is syncopated, it's giving those elements more space to actually pop through in the mix, one, and also really create that driving rhythm. So there you go. Let's just have one more listen to these final 2 sort of sections, just so you can try and take in everything that I've said and hear how the rhythms sort of working with each other. So there you go. Hope you heard some of the stuff that I was talking about there, and it made sense. But yeah, and try and give it a go yourselves. Try putting more bounce in your beats or in your tunes by using that sort of rhythmical element. Cheers, and I'll speak to you next month. Bye.